Hi, my name is Bryce Finnerty, and I'm here to tell you the John Maxwell just exposed the number one reason why real estate leaders fail. And now John told us this in this small, intimate setting where he described what makes leadership great and what separates a leader who runs a small real estate portfolio from a leader who can build a large real estate portfolio. And he's going to give us that number one secret, and then I'm going to break it down for you. He gives us 6 strategies. We will also cover those for you so you can take straight from John Maxwell and apply to grow your real estate portfolio. In case you don't know who John is, he is considered the greatest of all time, the number one leadership coach alive today. Everything he does goes global. So his companies are legendary. Every company started on coaching and training and leadership immediately spread around the world. He has 53,000 coaches right now in his organization teaching leadership. That's training a lot of coaches. And he's written over 90 books, and he didn't even start out to be an author. And so if you listen today, I'm going to give you all this information, and it's kind of high intensity training, and it's going to save you a ton of time because you're not going to have to read all of his 90 books. I'm going to cut to the chase and give you exactly John's 6 strategies he uses. And then if you stay to the end, I'm going to recommend 2 books from John Maxwell. Since he's written over 90, that's going to take a long time to read them all. So at the end, I don't want to take time away from getting right to the point. I'll cover those 2 books at the end, and you can use them to capture all of John's knowledge in these books. The number one reason leaders fail to grow, as he said, is personal development. So personal development is the key. You have to grow personally for your company to grow. So if you want to grow a large real estate portfolio, you are going to have to grow large as a leader. And the way to do that is to continuously work on your personal development. So let's get into the 6 strategies John uses for his personal development. These are literally right from John when he spoke to us in that living room setting a few weeks ago. Here we go. Number 1 is you need to know the importance of mentoring and personal development. Is it a priority for you to have mentors and learn from other people and have your own personal development plan? He goes on to say, maximizing success is maximizing your potential. More success, you need to increase your potential. And he got so successful because he helped other people get successful. So if you're helping others grow, you're growing at the same time. He also said he sees himself as a river, just passing along knowledge that he's received to other people. So as a leader, you need to pass on your knowledge to your team so they can benefit and they can grow. He told these really funny stories that mentors gave him his best ideas. This is really interesting. They weren't even his ideas. They were someone else's. If you know some of his big ideas, one was that he should be an author. His mentor said, you should be an author so you can influence even people you haven't met. And he wasn't even going to be an author. So he decided to write books. And the really funny part is he said, don't read my first 7 books. They were terrible. It wasn't until his 7th book that he wrote a good one. So you need to kind of take that advice and implement it, even if you're not good at it, perhaps. His other famous quote, that everything rises and falls on leadership, was actually a quote of his mentor. He just borrowed it. So even his big, most famous quote was from a mentor. And he even had a mentor ask him, do you have a personal development plan? And that challenged him to create this plan that I'm sharing with you. So it's important to have a mentor and have a personal development plan. You know, the problem is getting better is not automatic. You have to work at it. And he said even when we're younger in our career, we probably feel kind of inexperienced. And he said, you're probably better than you think you are in the beginning of your career. But toward the end of your career, if you haven't been developing, you probably think you're better than you are because you haven't developed for many years. So if you can keep developing over time, you will, like compound interest, he says, you will grow and grow and grow, and it starts to grow exponentially the longer you're doing it. Strategy number 2 is valuing the process of personal development. Is if you cover John's 21 laws of leadership, a lot of them are about the process of leadership and knowing that it is a process. It's not an event. So he said, you can't just go to a 2-day seminar and come out a good leader. He said, you know, if you do that, that's like a microwave leader. And what you get is Pop-Tart leaders if you just try to microwave them. He said what he prefers is a crock pot leader. And he's been in the crock pot for 52 years. Isn't that amazing? Still working on his personal development. Again, he said consistency compounds like compound interest, which is huge. So it has long payoff in the long run. And he said most people underestimate the process. That's the problem. They just think they can read a book and get good at it. But he said in the beginning, we aren't as bad as we think. And by the end of our career, we aren't as good as we think. So you have to keep working on that personal development. All right, strategy number 3, we must prioritize what you need to know. So think of the skills you want to get and what you need to succeed and be a great leader. Write those down. If you don't know what those are, John gave us his personal list. So these are the things John wanted to know and still works on his list. Number 1 is communication. He said you have to connect with people. So you have to get good at communication. Number 2, he said, you want to lead well. Now that you have a team, you want to be a good leader. Number 3, you want to be able to equip teams. So he's trying to learn how to equip people as a strategy to scale and grow his companies. And he's already got 53,000 trained coaches, but he's still trying to get better at equipping teams. He said attitude. You got to stay positive when things are difficult because life will be difficult. You need to embrace the challenges, learn from them. He called them high road leaders. Leaders with that long emotional stamina to stay positive even though maybe all the circumstances aren't positive. And then he wanted to work on relationship skills. He said you always got to get along with people. It's a people game. Those are the skills John's working on as a part of his 3rd strategy, was prioritizing what you want to know. Those are very similar to what I want to know, but I'm studying in 3 different AI courses. I'm studying always a lot about technology and leadership. I'm always studying the real estate industry and emerging technologies and proven strategies. That's what I'm always working on, but I like John's list as well. Okay, strategy number 4 for growing is focus. And by focusing, that also means eliminating distractions. He said, be hungry to learn. Just focus on what you need to focus on and eliminate everything else. So you have to be a lifelong learner. And he then said, the starting point of achievement is desire. Do you really desire it? Do you really want to learn? Is it something so interesting that you will focus on it? And he also asked the question, do you want it? If you do want it, you have to answer that question. If you don't, it's not worth it. Get 100% focused on your goal and eliminate all else. But the real question is, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to get everything else out of your life except your one goal? That's a tough question. So hopefully we all answered yes to that. We are focused on growing our portfolio. Number 5, the strategy is pick the right person. He said the mentor is as important as the advice they give. So number 1, you need someone who's been there, done that. They can teach you from experience. But he also said they often leave you advice and tell you advice, but good mentors might plant something in you. What he meant is they might not have told you, but you might have observed them doing it. So if you're around really talented mentors, he called it, some things are caught, not taught. You might have caught them doing something that you learned was effective, even if they didn't teach it to you. And then number 6, this is my favorite. He called it getting out of the people pile. I think all great leaders have to leave the people pile to ascend up to the heights of leadership. What he said is get away from average people because average people want you to stay average. Have you ever noticed that average people want you to stay average? They just want everyone to be friends and to be safe and just kind of stay together in their community. So it's threatening to them when you want to leave and grow and go to the next level and go out and take risks. So you need to get away from average people. Ask yourself, will this get me out of the people pile? So if you're looking at your behavior and your action, you have to ask, is this going to get me out of the people pile? Or is it just keeping me here? Obviously, you want to take action to get out of the pile. Because he said, where you can lead is in a new direction no one has ever gone. So how can they advise you to these new heights, these new limits in your growth? They don't know how high you can go. He gave this in a formula. So getting out of the people pile, he eventually summarized into a formula. And the formula is this: preparation, reflection, and action. So preparation is getting ready, practicing, learning, getting ready to get out of the people pile. And then reflection is seeing what works, what doesn't work, knowing what your dreams are, your purpose, your mission in life. That's something you have to reflect on. Then you must take action. You must act on it, and act on it on a daily basis to get where you're going and grow to be a high-level leader. Okay, so those are the 6 strategies from John. Thank you so much much for watching. Please subscribe to get more videos. Almost daily, we'll be sending out tips and tricks for growing your real estate portfolio. If you comment, I will answer any question you have or ask a question. I'm here to serve you. That's my mission, to help real estate leaders grow. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I will be certain to get back to you and answer your question. Now, I know I promised 2 books at the end. So before we wrap up, one book that has all of his laws and wisdom is packaged in what's called the Maxwell Leadership Bible. So he's a man of faith. You'll find out very quickly. He even autographed the book for me, but what's in here is all of the context of his other books is embedded in this book. It's all the scriptures plus all of John Maxwell's wisdom in one book. So this is almost like a summary of all of his best works. The other book that's a summary is called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And so this is also a summarization of all of his knowledge, all of his books, and all of what the questions people have asked him over his life about leadership. And he answers them all in this book. So if you don't want to read all 90 of his books, I'm going to put the links down below. I don't get any commission on it or anything. I just wanted to help you know if you want to grab a great book, this is probably the one to start with, or the other one I mentioned. Bye. Thank you for watching, and please let me know how I can serve you better.